So I've been following the conversation. Man, I was just having a talk with a friend today more about counterculture. Your guest is a musician. So first of all, I want to say, what you and Ryan are doing, like, that is kind of on the forefront of what I would consider a somewhat countercultural movement.
Sure.
Even though it's not music per se. But
yeah.
Ryan comes from a musical background. And I got to say, it's like, in terms of, people talk about mental health and all this shit these days, but I tend to just think simply about how people listen to music and consume media. It's all fucking consumption in some way, right?
Yep.
So when it comes down to our diet, I think it includes a lot more than just what we're taking into our body. And let's see. I mean, I'm very tempted to go into this extended metaphor about vibration and sympathetic resonance. But
oh my gosh, man, that's a passion topic. I'd
yeah.
do it.
Okay, sympathetic resonance, I think, is a concept a lot of people will hear and be like, "Oh, it sounds like the most obscure occult thing possible," but it's really just a matter of one thing resonating and other things responding in kind, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with comedy, you bring up premises that are resonant with at least a certain amount of the audience on any given night.
Yeah.
That literally resonates through in terms of laughter. That creates a feedback loop back to the creator, who's like, all right, I'm going to expand my scope here and see how far I can push that while still keeping their resonance, or this idea that there's not really an audience.
It's basically like an energy almost kind of thing. I mean, I will say that it is a real thing in comedy, like at shows where like you'll get into a room and there's just like a weird energy, and then everybody's just like bombs no matter what. You have the fucking best comedian in the world, best comedian in New York City, and you're like, this room has this weird energy in it. Nobody can kind of break it. And everybody just eats
it's short circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a short circuit. And so I think that same phenomenon must be true on every scale in some way. I know I sound pretty oblique. I don't want to take up all your time.
No. I mean, John seems to be agreeing with you on this one. So.
Oh, wholeheartedly.
Okay.
I mean, literally just, and it's what the topic, just the topic of vibration and resonance. I mean, it literally applies to everything.
Right.
And you can even, I mean, I love the analogy between entertainer and audience. I mean, as someone who has, I've been very, very blessed to have had the experience to stand on a stage with a musical instrument in my hand and play music and have a full range of reaction to that, and it's a loop. It's an energetic feedback loop. And if it's good, it's good. It's amazing. If it's bad, it's really bad. And so even things like, diet, and I love what you said, that diet isn't just, what you're putting in your mouth. It's all, like, I don't watch or listen to things that don't resonate with me anymore. And
it creates a certain dissonance.
Yeah. And I'm sure you guys are familiar with the whole 440 tuning, and
it's a standard guitar tuning,
and they intentionally changed it.
Yeah, look up Chladni for anybody who's wondering. Like, Chladni, I think, gives a pretty good idea of why certain tunings might be a better idea objectively. But I get it. From the same friend I was just talking to, get plenty of discussions about these things, about how objective is that resonance. But I'm like, the Chladni plates and Chymatics, I think, give some idea that there's a symmetry to be had at different frequencies in a more pure or less pure.
Anybody that hasn't seen a Chladni plate, just go on your video platform of choice.
Is that the sand thing?
Well, it's a speaker to a piece of metal, and they put sand or whatever.
They put the sand on top of it. Yeah.
And the different vibrations, it manipulates the matter into geometric shapes. And I mean, that right there proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that vibration affects physical matter. I mean, so if it can rearrange sand or salt on a metal plate coming through a speaker, imagine what that's doing on a molecular level.
Sure.
Or smaller.
Right. Well, and people also are mostly just considering the materialistic viewpoint, but when you extrapolate into the mental and, dare I say, the spiritual, I think it makes a lot more sense if you go deeper than just the materialistic. And I think in terms of social media, everyone talks shit about social media and why people love it, even though it's gotten only shittier and seems to rot people's brains. But creators seem to thrive. A certain type of creator seems to thrive in that environment. And like we were just talking about that circuit that's created between the audience and the performer. But the narcissism seems to almost be the inverse of that. It's all about just feeding that ego.
Yeah,
and this concept of a person, but it's not really. They're almost like acting. They're posers. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but save us all sometimes. That they're posing as a person who is creative, but ultimately we have this rehashing of every decade that's come before us, all at the same time, in different ways. And it's a throwback of a remake, and it's like. I'm just curious, I guess, what both of your perspectives are on that, because, I mean,
in terms of the energy thing, there's so many people who just like, they just they get home and they turn on the Fox News or CNN or whatever, and it just literally raises their blood pressure, like that cannot be healthy. Like they just are just basking in this negativity kind of nonstop, and then they must have some
people are
knock-on effects.
I think intention has resonance to it. So if it's my intention to make you happy, you're gonna feel that. But if it's my intention to fuck with you and make you feel something negative, you're gonna feel that too. And I think there are people who I think that there are junkies. Not just with drugs or sex or whatever, there are energetic junkies as well. And I think that's why social media is so enthralling to some and so repulsive to others, is because social media is based, I mean, it only exists because of narcissism. I mean, when like 25 years ago or whatever, if I'd have knocked on any of your doors at 10 o'clock at night and you opened it up and I was standing there with a picture of my dinner and going, dude, you got to see this dinner. I wanted to show you a picture of this dinner. You'd shut the narcissistic cesspool that is social media is very attractive to those junkies who are addicted to narcissism. And that's why when you go on social media, it's mostly narcissistic people arguing with each other or trying to out narcissist each other, because in what other aspect of life do people sit there and go, watch me, read me, pay attention to what I have to say? And that is social media.
Present company excluded.
Yeah, obviously we're not talking about me here. I have some great content.